Parents, this video is for you. We know that you'll do everything and anything when it comes to helping your child adapt to things, not get overwhelmed by schedules or routines, and this is especially true when it comes to back to school time. So many parents get overwhelmed when it comes to this time of year because it comes with a lot of new things for you parents to do, whether that be getting new school supplies, setting out clothes, getting new clothes, and really just changing up the whole routine or schedule entirely for the whole family. Not just that, but you're worried or you're thinking about how your kid's health is going to be during the school year, especially during that transition from summer to the beginning of school. Will they be anxious? Will they get tummy aches? Will they be able to sit still, focus, and pay attention in class for 4 or 5 hours at a time? As we get into the fall and winter months, we're talking about, you parents wondering, will my kid get sick? Will they have to miss days at school? So in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 pillars that are so key to families in our practice when it comes to getting off and starting off on the right foot during this back to school time. Now, the thing about these 4 pillars and the beauty of them are that they are extremely simple, but they aren't always easy put into practice. But what I love about these 4 pillars is the principle behind it, or the sequence behind each of these 4 pillars. Because these 4 pillars really lead to everything else when it comes to your child's health and school and academic performance. And I promise you, you will save not only time, but energy later on if you get these 4 pillars down in the right sequence. These 4 pillars are going to help your child have the best school year yet. So I want to show you a little bit of an analogy or visual when it comes to these 4 principles. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're actually going to walk through what we walk through parents in our practice about the health pillars that are so crucial to raising healthy kids naturally, especially during this back to school time. When we're looking at this, many parents, they actually don't start at the top right here where the health pillars are. They start more near the bottoms where we get these immune system fighters. They're asking themselves, okay, my kid is sick. What can I add to my diet? What can I do differently when it comes to, adding in vitamin C, omega-3s, and eating better, doing all the right things? How can I conquer these conditions, and what can I add to my child's life in order to get those conditions out of my child's life? How do I know how to get them eating better, moving better? How do I get rid of those earaches, fevers, congestion, and all of those different things? Most parents want to start down here at these immune system fighters because that's what happens when your child is already starting with conditions or, struggles or health issues. But in fact, what I want to talk about today is what's above it right here, the health pillars, which is what we use to allow parents to not only have the immune system fighters in their arsenal or in their toolbox, but we also have the everyday boosters, the immune system builders, and above all else, we are preventing things from happening. So today I want to talk about the getting adjusted, sleeping well, exercising and playing and moving and eating clean and healthy foods, all 4 of those pillars in this video. Because these 4 pillars are really what helps us not have to need the immune system fighters and really not have to need a lot of the boosters either. Now, number 1 on our list is sleep schedules. So sleep is so key for our kids to start the school year off right because sleep is regenerative. It allows our children's nervous systems to calm down so that they can wake up well rested and ready to go, ready to study, ready to listen, ready to pay attention, and ready to focus. Have you ever woken up a 4-year-old too early from a nap? It's not good, it's not pretty. The same thing goes for a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old. And they're just going to be extra emotional, extra moody. Their behavioral focus and attention is just not going to be dialed in because they just didn't get a good night's sleep. Now, what does this look like? What does a good sleep schedule look like? It can be easy for you to say you want to have your kids get a good night's sleep, but it's harder in practice to get that done. But what the big thing or the priority you should be putting in place is the hours that they sleep. Now, the hours before midnight are far more important and more regenerative and more important in terms of the impact of neurological development, growth, memory, and all of that than the hours after midnight. A lot of times during summertime, we get away with later bedtimes because we simply can wake up later the next day. So you or your child may be getting 10 hours of sleep and you're thinking that's great. And that is a really good chunk of time that you're sleeping, but it's really important to get the sleep schedule or that timing of that sleep, of that 10 hours, that is most important. So in fact, we need to push the bedtime a little earlier for your kiddos, especially leading up to the start of school. Getting your kiddos to sleep earlier and earlier so that you get more time before midnight allows their sleep to sync better with their circadian rhythms. This is especially true for high schoolers. And now as you're ramping up, as your family's getting ready for that back to school time, I want you to try to push that bedtime a little earlier before school even begins so that they get into a good sleep pattern or they get into a good sleep schedule before they even have to get into a good sleep schedule. And if they're having sleep struggles and you can't seem to figure out or your child can't seem to figure out why that's the case, talk to us. As pediatric chiropractors, we work with the nervous system, which allows a child's sleep schedule or sleep restfulness to be at the most optimal level. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we talk about the other health pillar of getting adjusted. Number 2, or the second health pillar, is exercise, play, and helping your child move their body. Now, not only does your child's nervous system benefit greatly from exercise, play, and movement, but you've seen it before when they don't get to go outside, they don't have recess, they don't have gym time, they don't play outside, they're just on screens all day. They're on their computer, they're on their phone, and they're just sitting still. And their brain becomes a busy brain and it's just a hot mess express. So keep them moving because it's not only a catalyst for behavior, but it's also a catalyst for sleep and attention, and one of the biggest things is immune function as well. It's a catalyst for immune function because when your child's body is allowed to exercise, play, and simply move, it allows the immune system to move and flush things out and flush those toxins out. And exercise and play aren't really a problem, or getting that right amount of exercise and play for your children isn't a problem during summertime, but come school time, it's really hard to fit in those intentional movement, exercise, play times. So make sure they have a balance of, study time and movement time, because they're sitting in class and they're sitting for 4 or 5 hours at a time. Whether that be unstructured or structured play time, it could be whatever as long as they're moving. Just let them roam free, let them play outside as long as they're getting off the screens and moving their body. Now, the third one is diet and nutrition. And I know what you're saying, or I know what you're thinking. My kid is such a picky eater. Their diet is so restrictive. They don't want this, they don't want that. They just want this one thing every day, day in, day out, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Do your best and forget the rest when it comes to diet and nutrition. Follow the 80-20 rule. Avoid the big things, like the things that have a little bit too much sugar, the synthetic, the high fructose corn syrup, the slightly unnatural, or not just slightly, but very unnatural snacks and meals. Try to incorporate some tasty snacks that maybe they aren't the very best, but they're still getting the protein and the healthy fats in their diet. Do your best and forget the rest. That's what's going to help your child get through the day and not feel like they're just working off of that kindling fire where they get those big surges of energy and then they get a really fast and steep crash of energy where they just can't get through the rest of the day. Focus on the things you can control and don't try to make it perfect. And if you know that your kid's going to a birthday party and they want cake, you don't have to say no every single time and, let them celebrate. Just do your best, forget the rest, the 80-20 rule of doing your best, getting them to eat as good as you can 80% of the time, and allowing them to still be a kid 20%, that remaining 20% of the time, while still keeping in mind eating clean, healthy, whole foods as much as possible. And if you need more help with that, comment below or send us a message. And the fourth and last pillar is my personal favorite, our personal favorite at Sprout Family Chiropractic. It's not just because I'm a pediatric chiropractor, but it's because The nervous system is literally the thing or the pillar that everything else relies on to work at its most optimal level, to allow them to integrate that really good sleep schedule, to allow them to integrate that movement, exercise, and play, and to integrate all of those healthy, clean foods that you're giving them. But really, the basis of how chiropractic works and what it is focused on is the nervous system. And the nervous system has two different sides. It has the autonomic side, where it's focused on all the organs, systems, glands, tissues of the body. And then there's the neuromuscular side, which allows us to move well and move freely. A lot of times, chiropractic is thought of mostly as helping with that side, the neuromuscular side, when actually the autonomic side makes up more than 50% of what the nervous system does and its responsibilities for our entire health and wellness. It controls the heart, it controls the lungs, it controls digestion, immune function, everything to do with hormones and all of that. It's controlled by the input from the brain to the body and the body to the brain. But when we look at chiropractic care and the nervous system, it really sets the table or sets the stage for everything else when it comes to raising healthy kids naturally, especially during this back to school time. It's going to give us that boost that helps our immune system keep going and keep fighting and keep staying strong. It keeps our gut moving. It lets our lungs allow us to get more of a deep breath in, and it allows us to have our bodies get that regenerative, that restorative sleep that we were talking about from that first pillar. So when we talk about chiropractic and when we talk about the nervous system, it really sets the stage and boosts everything so that the immune system is able to do what it needs to do. Our body is able to move, our gut and digestive system is able to integrate things and move the other stuff out. It keeps our lungs being able to take big breaths in. It calms our body down so that we can fall asleep and we can stay asleep and get that regenerative, restorative sleep that we were talking about that was so important and is one of our other pillars. And that in turn helps your child have that better focus, better behavior, better attention during class because their brain isn't getting those overwhelming signals. It's that cheat code that keeps things balanced and regulated, and it keeps things calm so that the body, your child's body, is able to focus on the things that they need to focus on during class because their brain and their body aren't overwhelmed. So parents, just remember during this period of time, this new season of getting back to school during this August month, remember to prioritize these 4 pillars. Keeping the nervous system healthy, regulated, and adjusted, getting good sleep, getting that movement and exercise in, and also eating clean and healthy food. Because prioritizing all of these 4 pillars, especially in the right sequence, allows your child to not only get away from the struggles, get away from the symptoms, but it prevents them in the first place. We're always aiming to create a better and bigger and more supportive community for you parents. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, let us know. Again, drop them below or message us. And if you stuck with us to the end, thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.